Hey everyone, your friendly neighborhood Pants is back with another video. Today I'm going to be showing off my last handful of matches in Special League. I'm really happy I got my very first G1 Special League finish. It's my first G1 in any RTA related content. So only 78 total matches and 66% win rate and finished 1146. So really close to G2 even. So I probably could have, kept trying at it, but it was just like too close to the end of the season for me to go all in for G2. Anyways, let's get into it. All right, so here's the first match we'll be taking a look at up against Hero Shin. I was running first pick Mi Yang. I felt like that didn't really give away what I was going with, and what I was running all season was Mi Yang, Chloe, and the Light Hammer Girl, Madeline. That was like my big three, which they just comboed off incredibly well together. Both Mi Yang and the Light Hammer Girl extend buffs, and then Chloe has 3-turn immunities, so it gave my guys just like permanent immunity. Assuming they didn't have a stripper, which if you ever played RTA, you'll know that pretty much every match is going to have a whole bunch of strippers. Um, Luckily, though, it seemed that despite having, strippers, they they just couldn't get through it because they would just come back. In addition to extending buffs, the Light Hammer Girl will decrease the cooldown, so they just really, really worked well together. So while they're waiting for their strip to get back, Chloe could already put the immunity back up. So anyways, I would do first pick Mi Yang. This guy, he went with Cocky and Wind Hammersmith, and I was kind of dumb here. One thing I was particularly weak against all season was Cleaves. I feel like I just needed one more piece for Cleaves, and here this should have just like screamed Cleave to me, but it didn't. I thought maybe it could be some kind of weird bruiser type of thing, so I just kept with my normal strategy, which is not what I should have done. I probably should have pivoted early on. So he goes Tableau and Leia, the light Chun-Li or whatever. So certainly a just fast, kill them as quickly as possible kind of team. Anytime I picked Chloe, I found that people would counter Chilling instant. So I started drafting Chilling with Chloe to just like prevent that pseudo must ban. Chilling isn't always a must ban like some monsters are, but in the case of my team, he was just really, really good against Chloe and the Light Hammer Girl. So I felt like I would have to ban Chilling. And then I decided not only is Chilling countering me really well, he combos really well with Chloe and Madeline since he does damage based on how many buffs he has. Once I realized it was Cleave, I went with Triana and Antares, which those were my two anti-Cleave units all season long. Those two and Verd were like my main monsters to use with anti-Cleaves, and then he picks the Dark Chun-Li or whatever her name is, Verisa, which is just probably the best 4-star Special League stripper. Luckily, he banned Chloe, which really surprised me. I think he should have banned Antares or Triana because those are the only two real anti-Cleave units. Basically, I luck sack him. That's what happens. And that was kind of my goal against all of the Cleaves because I just kind of pivot really well. I feel like I'm missing one more anti-Cleave unit. Like if I had a Molly or a Kinky or something like that to make it happen, I would do the werewolves every once in a while, like a Sheer or Vigor, but Cleaves just pretty consistently wrecked me. But that one I got lucky and Antares did his thing and got the win. All right, so this next one against Diaza, he first picked a Sheer, which just a few matches before this one, someone had first picked a Sheer, which ended up being a Cleave. So I went with Mi Yang and Verd here, assuming that there's going to be some kind of Cleave, and maybe he'd be a good option into it. When Sylph or Verisa or any other AoE kind of thing, maybe Verd can steal the turn and Mi Yang can do some healing. But he ended up picking Kiki and Triana, so he's going a more bruiser route. So I went back to my normal go-to strategy. Here he goes Fuki and Grego, which he was just really bruiser heavy in addition to having Triana. So I felt like Madeline wasn't ideal here. I thought I was lacking too much damage. So I went with RNG pick and just went with Antares. He banned my immunity, which I think was a good option for him, but it didn't work out in his favor because RNG is a beast sometimes. Really wasn't my Antares so much as it was my Verd. My Antares goes ham early on, but he also gets killed early on. So he did a little something, but then he was dead. Meanwhile, my Verd just got me so many turns in addition to violent procs from both Mi Yang and Chilling, and it worked out really well, luckily. I think I didn't outdraft here. It could have gone either way, and RNG was just in my favor. You can see the guy was definitely tilting too. I'm pretty sure he did an emo after any time I got a proc or just anything didn't go his way. He did a little emote, which you know, I get it. I totally get it. All right, so this one was a lot of fun, and we'll show you like the power of these three together. So he does Fran Mina, which didn't tell me cleave right away. Fran isn't a typical cleave unit like Mina is, so I was not sure what to expect and just kept with my normal draft. And I'm glad I did that, because then he goes Huadam and this light girl, which is just nasty, but chilling is really good into this, so I'm okay. And I just stick with the normal thing. I did want an additional stripper because I was assuming chilling could very well be banned if he's my only stripper into all the immunity that Azalea provides. I'm pretty sure that's her name. I guess I do have Miang as a stripper as well, but not quite as good as chilling. And so anyways, I banned the Mina because that was his main source of damage. I felt like no other of his units really deal any damage, except like maybe if it's a crit damage Triana, but Mina would just beat the crap out of me and be very difficult to kill with having Huadam and Triana and Azalea and Fran all together. That's just nasty. I have Chilling and the Wind Girl, so I'm running 2 supports to his 4. I'm not sure if Huadam is considered a support or not, but he basically is. So it's kind of a long match, but despite not having Chloe there for immunity, I have the attack and defense buff. He has no way to defense break, and I have a lot more damage on my side than he does. He's got a lot more healing, but he has to wait for cooldowns, and I mean, I kind of do, but mine are much shorter because I have Madeline. So in the meantime, I'm just beating the crap out of him with the Wind Dude and with Chilling, and it works out really, really well. I just keep working on Fran. I went for Fran first because I figured she's the Nat 3 with the worst base stats out of the bunch. So I figured she'd be the easiest to kill, and sure enough, it worked out really well. All right, so this next one is up against Fob, who made it very abundantly clear that he is going to be cleaving, so I went directly into the anti-cleave route. Didn't try my normal team, Antares, Triana, Verd, and Ayunu, into his Kaki Suiki. I decided to ban the Gemini because Gemini was the only defense break, so I figured that'd give me my best chance of surviving. I mean, I guess Kaki and Suki have skill 1 defense break, but that's all they got. So his Suki goes and doesn't kill anything with the AoE. So since he did his thing and didn't kill me, I was able to recover with Miang skill 3. And Ayunu pretty much just takes over, one-shots the wind thing, and then Verd cycles turns and get the Kaki down quickly, and it's just GG. I think I just drafted really well here. I think the best cleaves that I saw in Special League usually had some kind of crowd control element, because in this case, like if you just didn't have enough damage, you just lose. All right, so this next one also shows cleave, so I go again the anti-cleave route. This time I decided to pick Verd over Antares and with Triana, and I don't know if me picking Verd is what made him pivot from a full-on cleave. I guess I know Verd and Lauren are a really strong combination, so he just steals the Lauren and then picks Antares too. So that was really scary. I thought for sure I was going to lose this one. But I went up with Suki and Akia. I was thinking, since he didn't have any immunity, the problem, of course, is he's got a Lauren and he has got attack bar control. He last picks Julie, which I'm pretty sure Julie would have just destroyed my face. So I banned Julie because like the moment she took a turn, everyone would die. So that's who I banned. He banned the Miang, which I think was pretty good. I probably would have banned the Triana or the Verd. Probably the Verd. But anyways, I get to increase his increase his cooldowns with Akia. Verd cycles my turns, and I'm able to keep Lauren asleep, which is huge. Akia was targeted early on, but the fact that she was able to increase the cooldowns and put Lauren to sleep and that kind of thing, it really worked out. And then he just had no way of dealing with Suki at the point of it just being Megan and Terrace. It was a fun one. I really like Akia and the Sucky buddies. They're pretty solid. So with that win, I got into G1, which was really exciting. And Jim Jun, he first picked Molly, which normally would really scare me. Just the fact that he's G1 and has an LD for first pick, I was just like, this is going to be one of those. But I wasn't all that fearful because I've played lots of Bruiser versus Bruiser at this point with my typical team that I've been running, and it's worked really, really well. He does Vigor and Cocky, so I went with Miang and Fuki. Miang because I knew I was going to go with my big 3 here. And then Fuki, just because I wanted an additional damage doer that doesn't really care about Molly. So I was thinking Kaki, Suki, or Fuki, and just decided on Fuki because I already had 2 water monsters, and Kaki just, to me, is really squishy. Of course, his damage output is quite a bit higher than the other 2, but again, his base HP is like 8,000, so he just gets wrecked. So he ends up picking Ayunu to, deal with my passives and Triana, and so I take out the Ayunu because I want my passives. And he lets me have the big 3, which is exciting because I keep saying big 3. It sounds kind of cringe. But anyways, I get a great. Hooray. The greats are really insane when they happen. It's not too often, but you can see he only has 1 stripper in the form of Molly, who's one of the best strippers in the game. And it's not the best in this particular scenario, though, because I have a crap ton of buffs, including 4-turn immunity and 2-turn invincibility, which is just insane. So I go for the Kaki because he's the squishiest and also a lot of damage. So I'm just trying to kill him as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, he's trying to kill my light hammer girl as quickly as possible because somehow he managed to strip the invincibility off of her first thing rather than the attack buff or defense buff, which is fine. I do switch targeting to the Vigor, thinking Fuki would actually land the defense break there. I was just trying to get a defense break on someone because if I get a defense break and do Miang's skill 2 with the attack buff and the defense buff, her damage output is just absurd. And that's exactly what happens eventually when I land the defense break on the Vigor. So once Vigor is down, he's down a healer, he's down a defense break, he's down damage. It's great. And he just can't seem to get through the attack buff and defense buff and immunity that this team has. And so he does, do a little last ditch effort there with his skill 2 from Kaki to just see what kind of damage he can do. But it isn't enough, and he loses, and I win. All right, so this next one was up against Vanessa, and the first G2 that I think I've probably ever fought in Special League, but certainly the first of this season. And I was kind of feeling pretty bad at this point because only a few days, I think it was like 4 days left of Special League, and here I am going into it on a win streak, which whenever you're on a win streak, they like to match you against people way more OP than you, so you can go on a losing streak, and it's just like a back and forth between winning streaks and losing streaks. And so I was thinking, well, here I am at the end of the season about to go onto a losing streak, so I'm not excited for that. Anyways, I continue drafting my normal team. Here he didn't draft anything that made me want to pivot away from just picking the Miang and the Chilling and the Chloe and the Madeline. And in this case, I went with Verd. His last pick, Clara, was certainly the most scary because Clara's the only stripper on the team, and strippers are what I'm afraid of. So I banned the Clara. He bans the Verd, which is probably a good option, but I think he underestimated the power of these 3 together. So I start the match with 3-turn immunity onto 4-turn immunity and 2-turn invincibility. You can see Chilling has 6 buffs, so he just really smacks. I go for the Fran again because Fran is generally the squishiest on the team. I know Suki's going to be pretty tanky. I know Fuki's going to be tanky. And sure enough, my Chilling just smacks the crap out of him, and it's down to 4v3 already. And he doesn't even know who to target. He starts with Madeline. He switches to Miang. I guess he underestimated Miang's damage output, but with additional damage artifacts, the attack and defense increasing effects going on, and just the way I have him ruined, it's insane. The only one that's on crit damage is Chilling, and he probably doesn't need crit damage, but I could afford to do it, so I did it. Miang is on like plus 20k HP, a little more than that, and then plus 1k attack, plus 1k defense, and just all of the additional damage, and then like plus 160 speed, something like that. The Chloe, Madeline, and Miang are all within 1 speed of each other, so Chloe goes first, and then Madeline, I think. Or no, Chloe, then Miang, then Madeline. After that G2, I'm up against Mr. Maui here, another G2 who is much higher than the previous one. At 1540s, like 120 points higher. And he's got what I consider to be a really strong cleave. So cleaves to me, again, in Special League, I think are best if they have some means of crowd control. In this case, Gibraltar, or whatever his name is, the Dark Bomber. His AoE silence is horrifying. And then Tyrone, the AoE freeze and attack bar decrease is disgusting. Rigel is kind of MVP into that kind of stuff. but Rigel gets banned a lot. In this case, he decided to ban the Triana. I guess he's thinking he wants the damage to go through and just get someone killed right off the bat. I think he really underestimated the Raccoony, though. Raccoony puts in some work here. So anyways, Miang is probably the most dead pick of the bunch, but again, she's just like my first pick unit because she had my best runes and fit with what I was drafting. So he didn't have quite enough damage first turn to kill me, but he did have me all silenced up and, attack bars decreased, and he was able to kill Antares early on. But Raccoony, she was not dead. She did a little bit of resisting and was able to give the turn to Miang. And Miang wasn't silenced at that point and was able to heal me up to full. And so I was able to kill Tyrone, and then it was just GG. It turns out I didn't even need to play that last match, but I went for it anyways because I just wanted to be safe. I was thinking it was gonna, climb like crazy, but it didn't climb like crazy. So last 2.5 days or so, Special League, I didn't have to do any matches, and I was just satisfied. And I only moved down like 100 ranks in that time. So again, probably could have gone for G2, but I just didn't want to risk it on a 8-win streak. I just know I'm gonna lose like 14 in a row. So that's that. And I'm happy. And thank you all for watching. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next video.